Good morning for teleSUR. I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. We start off in Syria, where U.S. airstrikes continue in the northern and eastern regions of the country. The bombs were directed at villages close to the city of Aleppo. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reports that no militants were killed, but at least 5 civilians died. The strikes also hit grain depots and a gas plant. Estimates suggest dozens of civilians have so far died in the offensive. Meanwhile, the Syrian government also carried out its own strikes targeting Islamic State strongholds. In the aftermath of U.S.-led airstrikes, members of the al-Qaeda-linked Nusra Front and other rebel groups in Syria vowed to join the Islamic State in fighting against the West. Al-Nusra commanders called on their followers to forget about past divisions that existed among the two groups. Meanwhile, thousands of civilians and militants staged protests against the bombings throughout Syria. Despite the U.S. airstrikes, the Islamic State continues making gains on the ground in Syria. In recent days, the group has made significant advances into the Kurdish town of Kobani near the Turkish border. That has led to a massive exodus of over 100,000 people. Many Syrian Kurds who had fled with their families are now returning to fight the IS. And we go to Latin America, where Sunday night presidential candidates in Brazil gathered for their fourth televised debate ahead of next week's presidential elections. Frontrunner and incumbent Dilma Rousseff criticized her main rival Marina Silva for her constant shifting of political views. Although Silva originally came from the left of Brazilian politics, she has since sought to position herself as the market-friendly candidate. Latest polls have given Rousseff a wider lead with 40% of the vote compared to 27% for Silva. Polls also show Rousseff leading in a second-round runoff. Bolivians are also preparing for presidential elections. Thousands of people throughout the country marched on Saturday showing their support for incumbent Evo Morales. The popular leader is the first from the nation's indigenous majority. A new poll confirmed a likely landslide victory for Morales. The survey showed him with 53% support. That's a whopping 36% lead over his nearest rival, Samuel Doria Medina. As leaders of the progressive parties across Latin America come together in Quito on Monday for a conference to share ideas, Ecuadorian President Rafael Correa warns of ongoing U.S. interference in the continent. His words follow the Clinton Foundation's new program for political leaders in Latin America.
Who has given the United States the right to come and teach us how to form leaders from within civil society? This is not their house. Enough is enough. We're no one's colony.
Peruvian President Ollanta Humala declared a state of emergency Sunday in towns affected by a 5.1 magnitude earthquake. The tremor shook many areas on Saturday and killed 8 people and left hundreds homeless. The president says he declared the state of emergency to make the relief process quicker. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says he wants to improve Russia's relationship with the United States. However, he warns that the U.S. position on Syria should change and criticize what he called the West's Cold War mentality, saying that the U.S. should work with other nations.
I very much hope that the United States will realize the necessity of not acting everywhere in the role of the prosecutor, the judge, and the executioner, but will grasp that it is impossible to do anything alone.
And in the United States, justice campaigners continued their protests on Sunday in Ferguson, Missouri. Since August, the local community has demanded action after the death of black teen Michael Brown. The protesters are now calling for the chief of police, Tom Jackson, to resign his post. Local police have confirmed that the officer shot nearby on Saturday was involved in an incident unrelated to the protests. And to France, where Senate elections have resulted in a serious defeat for the governing Socialist Party, and for the first time, the far-right National Front has won 2 seats in the Senate. The party has a history tainted by extreme ideas such as Holocaust denial. But new leader Marine Le Pen has sought to rebrand the party to take advantage of widespread dissatisfaction with France's stagnant economy and high unemployment. The government's popularity has plummeted to just 13%. Thousands took to the streets of Madrid, Spain Sunday to celebrate the annulment of a law aimed at restricting access to abortion. Mariano Rajoy's right-wing government had to abandon the reform in the face of popular protests. Under the measure, abortion would have been permitted in a rape case or in the case of high health risk for the mother. Protesters and activists say they will continue protesting against pressure by the Catholic Church and conservative groups for new restrictions. We end today with a look at sports. The Women's America's Cup came to an end on Sunday with Brazil taking the victory over Canada. The Brazilian team made up for disappointment last month in the Men's World Cup when Brazil was eliminated early. The women's team won after a 0-0 draw against Colombia, giving them enough points to be crowned champion. It marked the 6th time that Brazil has won the competition. This year, the event was held in Ecuador. More on those stories and others at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For teleSUR English, I'm Cody Weddle. Have a great Monday.